Good morning, everybody. My name is Sherry Collins, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Solid Waste Advisory MAG Committee. Today, I'm the acting chair in absence of the current chair. So at this time, Lisa Young will take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I called your name, please respond. JB Shaw.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Mike Denby. Simon Lara.
Here.
Thank you. Miguel Esquivel. Tracy Conaway. Nick Russo.
I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you. Ron Gritman. Paul Montes.
Here.
Thank you. Amy Morano. Adam Kurtz. Taylor Shadron.
Here.
Thank you. Robert Stratman. Aaron Red.
Present.
Thank you. Pat Tapia.
Here.
Thank you. Jack McCallis.
Good morning. Here.
Thank you. Ramona Simpson. Richard Allen.
Here.
Ramona's here.
Thank you, Ramona, and thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Wendy Kreitz. Wayman Allen. Stephen Sandoval.
Here.
Did I miss anyone?
Wendy Kreitz is here.
Thank you, Wendy.
Hi, good morning. Miguel Esquivel as a proxy for Robert Vandenacker.
Thank you, Miguel. Anyone else?
Good morning, Mike Carr for City of Glendale.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Mike Carr for City of Glendale.
Thank you, Mike. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Let me do that again. My microphone was off. So the first item on the agenda is call to order. A quorum is now present. Good morning, members of the MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form located on the meeting room counter. MAG staff can assist with any questions you may have. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the meeting room counter. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. The second item on the agenda is call to the audience. The action requested is information. Our next item is call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items are items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience unless the vice chair requests an exception to this limit. I have received no request to speak for the call to the audience. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
Madam Vice Chair, no written comments have been received.
Thank you. The third item on the agenda is approval of the December 5th, 2023 meeting minutes. Our next item is the approval of the December 5th, 2023 meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have any questions? Okay, hearing none, prior to approval of the meeting minutes, there's an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no requests for this agenda item. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for this item?
Madam Vice Chair, no written comments have been received.
Is there a motion to approve agenda item number 3?
I'll
This is
make a
Ramona.
motion.
Oh, you go ahead.
This is Rich Allen. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion from Rich Allen and a second,
This is Ramona, Town of Queen Creek. I'll second.
and a second from Ramona, Town of Queen Creek. A roll call vote will be taken at this time by Lisa Young.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. JB Shaw,
Aye.
thank you. Mike Denby. Simon Lara,
Aye.
thank you. Miguel Esquivel,
Aye.
thank you. Tracy Conaway. Nick Russo,
Aye.
thank you. Ron Gritman. Paul Montes,
Aye.
thank you. Mike Carr,
Aye.
thank you. Adam Kurtz,
Aye.
thank you. Taylor Shadron. Aye. Thank you. Robert Stratman. Vice Chair Collins,
Aye.
thank you. Aaron Red,
Aye.
thank you. Pat Tapia.
Aye.
Thank you. Jack McCallus,
Aye.
thank you. Ramona Simpson,
Aye.
thank you. Richard Allen,
Aye.
thank you. Wendy Kreitz,
Aye.
thank you. Wayman Allen. Stephen Sandoval,
Aye.
thank you. Madam Vice Chair, we have a unanimous vote.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Solid Waste Fees rulemaking. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Terry Bear, Senior Scientist, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So my name is Terry Bear. I'm with the Solid Waste and Hazardous Waste Program at ADQ, and wanted to share with you folks today about the fees that we're proposing. If you had attended the May 30th, this may seem a bit repetitive, but I look forward to having a discussion and see if there's any comments or questions. Next slide. So this came out of House Bill 2367. The House Bill 2367 did a couple of things. In 2012, when some of the fees were set, there was a one-time rulemaking authority. We went to a fee-based program. This bill removed those one-time authorities for us to do this rulemaking. It also authorized us to move some of the fees that have been in statute for a number of years, dating back to the early 90s, for like new tires and landfill disposal into rule, so we could bring those current. It also gave us the authority to establish fees that we never had authority before. These are services that the department has long performed, just that there was no fees really established in statute for us to set those fees. Next slide. So obviously we do a number of things at the solid waste program, from managing solid waste generation all the way down to used oil and lead acid batteries. And we do these through a number of aspects that we perform, from inspections, permitting and licensing, as well as rule writing, which is what we're doing currently, as well as doing compliance assistance. Next slide. So what brought us here is obviously when the fees were set in 2012, when we went to a fee-based model, we began tracking the amount of revenue the department brought in versus what our costs are. And you can see that while the revenue, going back to as far as 2018 on this diagram here, have been pretty flat, our costs have continued to increase. And so it's resulted in the program basically being upside down and having to cover those additional costs through other programs. Over on the right, you can see though that City of Phoenix urban area has actually experienced 48.5% increase in inflation since 2012. Next slide. So this is what I was speaking to before. So on the left hemisphere of this diagram, you can see that those that have been paying fees since 2012 only represent literally half of those that are regulated. The right hemisphere ranges from used oil management to lead acid battery collectors, some transfer stations, composting, as well as special waste. And so what we're hoping to do with this rulemaking is address the diagram that is on the far right. So between the current fees the program brings in and the money that's allowed to the department from new tire sales, we hope to close the gap between doing a CPI inflation on some of the current fees and then addressing new fees on those aspects that have not been covered. Next slide. So these fees are obviously designed to encompass a number of aspects from covering administrative costs, rural policy development, as well as our inspections, permits, and enforcement. And it's all these things that come together to make back fees that we're proposing. So we do on each fee make sure to cover our costs both directly and indirectly, but we want to make sure that the fees are fairly assessed and impose the least burden. Next slide. So the first fee here is landfills. So landfills were previously split up into 5 different categories. We're looking to simplify that with this rulemaking into a small, medium, large category. So it's still using the same nomenclature of the tonnage, but we're simplifying the categories. Additionally, we are spelling out specifically those that are under approval for post-closure. Post-closure takes over the course of 30 years. And so obviously there's costs of the department to continue to monitor those. And so it sets a fee for that oversight. These facilities are still subject to plan approval, which is what ARS 762 speaks to. And then finally, the bullet underneath the image here is for the tonnage fee. That tonnage fee has been in rule or in statute since 1991. And with this, we're looking to move that into rule. Next slide. So this is that tonnage fee that I was just speaking of. So you can see currently it references that it's 25 cents per compacted cubic yard or uncompacted cubic yard, as well as per ton. And then on the right, you can see that by applying a CPI, consumer pricing index inflation to that, it's going to increase those from the 25 cents to 58 cents. And then obviously for those that are managing recycled secondary wastewater from 13 to 29. And then obviously those under 741, a population of a political subdivision, increasing from 7 cents to 16 cents. The category underneath that is our general permits. Currently there's only one general permit, and this is landfills and mining operations. And so that's the only general permit that we currently have on file that we've done rules for. But same thing there is that we're taking the current fees that were established in 2012 and adding the inflation to them, bringing them up into 2024. Next slide. This is the plan review. So the plan review that has been in place since the fees were originally set. So same thing, these are all applying a CPI for the new facilities. So you can see they have an initial as well as a maximum. Those will remain in place. It just brings them into 2024, and as well as the amendments. And then finally, you can see that we have the hourly rate, which is increasing from 122 at the bottom to 181. Next slide. Transfer facilities. Transfer facilities is a split category. So in 2012, there were fees established for self-cert. So self-cert transfer facility is any facility that manages greater than 180 cubic yards per day. So that we are increasing that fee, is that fee was insufficient for what the department's costs are. It also establishes the BMP facilities, which are those that manage under 180 cubic yards. And so for each one of these categories, there's going to be an initial fee, and that's to basically set the account up, and then an annual fee every year thereafter. If it's already established facility, then they won't have the initial fee. Those are only for brand new operations. Next slide. Next would be tires. So tires is a couple of categories. We've had in statute for a number of years what we call a plan approval tire site. This is a tire site for anyone that wants to manage tires and keep them on the property for more than 12 months. Currently, we don't have anyone that does this operation, but it was one of the things that we recognized that we had not set a fee when the fees were done in 2012. So that addresses that one, in which it would also be the same rate for self-served waste tire sites, which is basically someone that has more than 5,000 tires on their property or is a tire shredder. The BMP and used tires, so BMP is greater than 500 but less than 5,000, and then obviously used tires is over 100. Anything under 100 tires is not regulated by the department. And then the bullet underneath the image here is the tire fee. So this has been in the statute quite some time. And so same thing, we're moving this into rule, and we're going to be increasing the cap. So the way the rule reads, or the statute reads, is it was 2% of every tire sale up to a $2 max. So the 2% will remain, and we're just adding a CPI to the cap. So it's going to increase it from $2 to $4.66. Next slide. Next category is used oil. Used oil was one of the largest categories, if you remember the diagram before, that had no fee set in 2012. And so this identifies any of those basically facilities that are regulated under the federal program that the department administers. And so that's why you see all the reference to 40 CFR. So whether you're a transporter, processor, burner, or marketer, if you're basically required to get an EPID number, this sets a fee, again, an initial fee for setting up the account as well as an annual. Again, if they're already registered with the department, the initial will not apply. Those are only for new operations. Next slide. Biohazardous medical waste, we're actually looking to simplify this. Currently the only entity that was regulated for BMW was the transporters. Transporters had an initial application of 2,000 with a smaller fee every year thereafter for years 2, 3, and 4. And then basically their permit or their registration expired, and they had to renew it on every 5th year, in which it went back up to that 2,000. So we're simplifying it, and so it's going to be $1,500 per year every year, as long as you maintain it. And so it'll still renew every 5th year, but it won't have that increased rate. So we're hoping this will make things a lot more simple and straightforward for the BMW transporters. The 2 new categories is for storage and transfer and treatment disposal. There are a number of these entities that are permitted throughout the state, 9 in total, but they had no registration fee. And so this is just establishing the registration fee for those operations to cover the department's inspections of those facilities. Next slide. Special waste, those that dabble in special waste will know that we have what we call PCS, or petroleum contaminated soil, and auto shredder fluff, or ASF. Obviously, we recognize that these are very different generators. A PCS generator can be someone that ruptured a fuel tank or had a drum of fuel that leaked. So much smaller operation compared to auto shredder fluff, which is the much larger shredders that generate the significant volume. So we set the fees based on those type of operations to, again, impose the least burden, and then set a fee for transporters. The transporters here is the company, not the vehicles. So it's a company registration as a transporter and not necessarily each vehicle itself. And then finally, those that do treatment disposal. Under treatment disposal, There is an exclusion for any landfill that pays a registration under the landfill fees is exempt from this fee. But we did want to recognize that there may be future opportunity for treatment of, say, soil with hydrocarbons in it that we want to make sure we're covered in the future. And then same thing applies to the tonnage fee here. This we increased by CPI, so increased it from the 450 per ton to 668 per ton, and then increased the cap, which is per generating site, from 45,000 to 66,835. Next slide. Septic haulers. Septic haulers, we saw the need to split into two categories. There are septic haulers that are inspected by counties that are delegated, and then there are some counties that have don't have a delegation agreement or relinquish that aspect of the delegation agreement. So what we created here was a cost for the department to cover if we're doing the inspection, and then obviously a separate registration for those that are being inspected by the county. Because typically I believe the counties have their own cost for performing those inspections. And so again, it's an initial and annual. The initial only applies to a new operation. Next slide. Lead acid batteries. Another aspect that we manage as part of the federal program. And so this just establishes a fee. So there's been a number of these that we've managed over the years. You know, if you ever had to return your battery to a Costco or a Walmart or any place that you've purchased a new battery, those are battery collection sites. So this only involves those that are performing that collection activity. So not as a generator. You can generate a battery, but that doesn't make you a collection site. And so this establishes an additional annual fee for those. Next slide. Composting. So we presented this in the May meeting, but after some recent discussions with some stakeholders on Friday, we're actually going to pull this one back. Composting has been in the statute for quite some time, but there are some aspects that I don't think the department clearly understood. Particularly, there's some that do agricultural composting versus those that do small mom and pop, as well as the bigger operations that, you know, we've seen the fires over the number of years. So the department does have a shall that we have to address in the coming years. And so we decided that we're going to table this fee until that time, in which we can get more stakeholder input and have a better understanding of composting. Initially, when we rolled out this fee, it was based off of the department's cost, but we've heard that a fee of this number could almost dissuade folks from wanting to do composting, which is a recycling activity, and obviously that's not our intent. So we are going to be rolling that in the June meeting, that this has been tabled and is being removed from the proposed rule. Next slide. So this is kind of the timeline. So you can see that we started stakeholder engagement here in May, and then obviously we have one coming up here in June, which will be June 20th. If you haven't registered, you can still register today. And then we're looking for a final one in July, in which we have a target date to have a proposed rulemaking by July 26th. And then that will make its rounds for public hearing and hopefully for GERC approval by October, with an effective date in January of 2025. Next slide. And that is all I have today. Looking forward to any questions, comments.
Thank you, Terry. Do any members have questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda. City of Avondale Recycling Drop-Off Program. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Simon Lara, Solid Waste Manager, and Catrice Swenson, Senior Management Analyst, City of Avondale.
Good afternoon. My name is Simon Lara. So today we'll be doing a presentation on our Avondale Recycling Drop-Off Center development. Next slide. Identifying the community needs. As of fall 2023, more than 5,200 multifamily units were in development in the city of Avondale. Single-family households commonly put overflowing recycling, such as boxes, in their bulk trash. And as of October 2023, we updated our solid waste standards. So we are not accepting any more recycling material like big boxes in our bulk trash. So this gives another opportunity for our citizens to drop off their the recycling material. Next slide. Our solution: the city of Avondale was awarded $64,000 through the Arizona Department of Quality ADAQ recycling grant program to establish, our a recycling drop-off center. Next slide. Program goals. It's support the sustainability goals by number one, addressing the lack of recycling options available for multifamily residents. Provide additional recycling disposal options for single-family residents to supplement curbside recycling. And it also provides every resident in the city an opportunity to recycle no matter where they live, apartments, trailer parks. It gives every resident an opportunity to recycle. Next slide. Steps to success. Number one is we want to determine a central drop-off location in the city. Number two is establish a site. Number three was developing a marketing campaign for the program. Number four was implement signage, monitoring, and tracking to optimize utilization and minimize dumping. We started the program. We got the go-ahead on April 16th, and we should have it complete by June 30th of this month. Next slide. Step one was obviously to determine a central drop-off location. Next slide, please. What we determined was the best location was at our Avondale Civic Center Library here in Avondale. So that's the middle between our north and south residents. So it's a centralized location. It's where our business corridor is located, our apartment complex corridor is located, and also we just opened up our aquatic center. So there's going to be a lot of traffic going through this location here at this library. Next slide. Our next step was to establish the site. So next slide. So those of you that are in the roll-off business, you guys know that servicing a roll-off, you got to reinforce where you're going to put that roll-off. So what we did was in our we chose a parking area, so we reinforced it with concrete. We went 6 inches deep to make sure that it's going to last long for what we're going to do there. Number two, so it's a centralized location. So we did electrical work, which we're going to be putting cameras up to monitor the areas on the weekends. Next slide. Our task in progress, we still need to add the striping in the location, add curbing, and we're going to add parking and no dumping signs. So we're in the middle of that right now. Hopefully, we'll get that done sometime this week. So when people go to offload recycling, it's going to tell them where to park, when not to block. And obviously there's going to be signs saying just recycling and no illegal dumping. Next slide. The next step was to develop a marketing campaign for the program. Next slide. Next was to develop and implement the following promotional tools. Obviously, social media, graphics, videos. We recreated a web page. We're going to be doing mailers, and our roll-offs. Obviously, we want to wrap them, and it's in English and Spanish. It has a barcode, and it's going to be simple. And it's going to let the residents what can and can't be recycling. Next slide. From proof to reality, this is our roll-ups that we have here on site. They're ready to be delivered, but this is how it looks from proof to reality. Next slide. These are the postcards that we're going to be mailing to our residents, the front and back. So it gives what we can recycle. It's going to give off the location, and it's also going to give the barcode so you can scan, and it'll take you straight to our website, giving all that information for our residents. Next slide. So on our social media, again, we're information of the program and the location as well. And obviously, it's going to be in English and Spanish to read out the demographics, to reach out to those demographics. Next slide. Final step is to implement signage, monitoring, and tracking to optimize utilization and minimize illegal dumping. Next slide. The following will be implemented. We're going to be putting 2 security cameras on the light poles adjacent to the roll-offs, giving us surveillance. We're going to put up I want to say it's 3 feet by 2 feet, big signage at the site saying that no dumpings, it's prohibited, and you're under surveillance. And then Monday through Friday, we always have somebody go down Avondale Boulevard. So our daily staff, our solid waste staff is going to be monitoring the site daily, making sure that it's clean and free from any illegal dumping. Next slide. Measuring success. Tons of recycling that we tracked on a year basis. An additional promotion will be needed based on central utilization. This is the first of our kind. We don't have commercial here in the city of Avondale. What we offer is just residential collections and bulk trash. So hopefully this picks up and gives other residents another avenue to recycle. Next slide. And that's all I have. If you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Simon. Do any members have questions or comments?
I do. Taylor Shadron, Local First Arizona. I just wanted to clarify, is this a resource that commercial businesses in Avondale could utilize if they choose to?
Yes, they can utilize it as well, along with our residents.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify, the intention is definitely for residents. However, there's not going to be anything that would prohibit commercial entities from using the center, but the intention is definitely for residential recycling.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is item number 6, City of Mesa Downtown Recycling Initiative. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by myself, Sherry Collins, Solid Waste Director, City of Mesa. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys an update on the ADQ grant that we were awarded in Mesa. We are very excited about this grant. We requested a grant to implement a downtown Mesa recycling initiative. It has a couple parts to it. We requested $135,000 to implement this for some outreach and some of the containers. The overall idea of it is we would be putting 5 public space recycling containers in high traffic areas. We have some Placer AI data that we use with our downtown transformation group that'll tell us our high traffic areas. And so we wanted to start small so that we could control it and monitor it and see where we needed to pivot or maybe make changes. So right now, working with our Downtown Mesa Association, DMA, we're working on where to place those 5 public space containers. And then some of these pictures over here on the left, they'll look something like that. And then up top, it's maybe hard to see in this graphic, or maybe it's just the lighting, but this one's from a city of San Antonio and it has flowers on it and some patterns. So you can really jazz these up however the community wants them. And so just working with Downtown Mesa Association to make it Mesa and make it pop. And then we're going to do 20 community containers. And basically what that is in community containers is the community centers. And so we're going to put 20 containers at Mesa's Convention Center as well as our Mesa Amphitheater. The Parks and Rec Department was very excited about that to implement those into those spaces. Lastly, we're implementing 50 commingled recycling front load bins, and this is going to be for multi-family as well. We have a lot of development in downtown Mesa, which includes businesses and multifamily. A lot of them are eco-driven, and they want to have sustainable environments and sustainable communities. So if we're able to utilize this grant to purchase those containers to start this program. And I'll talk about it just a little bit more on the other side. So next slide, please. So for the public space recycling containers, this one is a little bit closer up where you can see the markings on these. You can customize them and wrap them and change them as you need to. The one thing about these that really caught our attention was they have 35-gallon barrels under them. So we're going to start with the 35-gallon barrels. It's easy to service. A lot of times when you have these public space containers, they'll have the bags in them and then they become unrecyclable. So we really like the idea of this where you could have a barrel, we could have our truck come service it and it would get recycled. And then again, as I said before, you can customize them. And so we can make it to whatever, wherever we put them, we can make it custom to that area. And then again, for these areas, it'll be in downtown Mesa, public spaces, high traffic areas. And then again, mentioning the Mesa Amphitheater and the Convention Center. And then what we'll do on these is we have, for the downtown ones, we'll have our staff actually monitor them as they're dumping them so that we know what's in them. Like, again, we're starting with 5 of these in the downtown area and then working with the staff on site at the amphitheater and the convention center. And then next slide. Okay, and then the other part of our program is the 50 commingled bins. And so what we're doing is looking to focus on multifamily and then have tailored outreach. So we'll be working with the community, really finding out what's in their streams and how we can get the community members to get their materials clean into those front load commingled bins. So it'll be really nice to have that tailored outreach and community focus groups with those community members to to try to get this multifamily thing off and running in a clean stream. That's one of our main goals, and being able to do that tailored outreach, whatever it is we need to do. On the front of our containers, this is what it's going to look like. I put up there for the front load. And right now we're waiting on getting the containers of all of these. And so our goal is to have all the containers in by June 30th. And then we've got all the print stuff, all these decals and everything in already as well. And then after that, we'll start placing these and start our community focus groups and our tailored education by community. And part of this was really great for us as we got a lot of support letters from the community and the developers that are developing these type of developments in downtown Mesa, and they were very much in support of this. It's definitely something they want. Our downtown transformation group was very interested in it. Most of the time they get questions of why don't you have public space recycling? So we're very excited to see how far this goes. Very short presentation, and that is actually the end of it. So with that, I guess I will ask if any members have any questions or comments.
This is Tracy from City of Chandler. Hey, Sherry. Are these areas for your front load for the multifamily? Do they have to have City of Mesa trash, or will you do it for any community?
Tracy, yes, they will have to have City of Mesa trash. The way that we have it set up, they can't just have the recycling, so it would be trash and recycling.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good luck with your program.
Hi, Sherry. This is Ramona, Town of Queen Creek. As you're working with these developments, do they have enough room for both the trash and the recycle containers? Do they have to take out some parking spaces? Like, how are you working that kind of physical component?
Yes, Ramona. So some of those details still have to be worked out. And again, we're targeting the areas that it would work in. What we actually are doing, and we're very excited about, is we've been very active in getting in with our downtown transformation group and really putting trash and recycling on the forefront and making sure that as we're making these developments, that's something we're keeping in mind from the beginning. Mesa's downtown is starting to develop, and so we're just really focusing on that. And so that's exciting for us because we have developers we just met with a couple weeks ago that were very excited that we helped them in the beginning so they could set up an eco-based system. And then whenever we're looking at this front load route, we're looking at keeping it very small, very efficient. And that's another reason we chose the downtown area, because of the location of the facility to take the recycled materials. And so those are just some of the logistics we're going to have to work out. Some of them have a cardboard only container right now, but they want to recycle so much more. So we're able to swap out that cardboard container with one that now accepts much more material. So we're working on some of those things as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Sherry, thank you. That's very exciting. We'll wait to hear, because everyone, we'd all like to do that, but I think working with development services, trying to get in on the ground floor of these, especially some of these areas that are transforming, makes really good sense. So I think that's a great program. We'll look forward to it. Seeing, maybe you can give us a report, you and Avondale, both next year. That'd be great.
Thank you, Ramona. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 7, which is a request for future agenda items. Are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda? Okay, I would like to bring up an item. I would like to maybe talk about our solid waste best practices. I don't know if it's a manual procedure that's out there, and maybe just looking at that again and updating that possibly and taking that on.
I think that's a great idea. We did that a long time ago. I don't know, COVID time has me all messed up, right? But yeah, we did that several years ago, and a lot of the industry is changed and modified, and people are doing some new things. So I think that would be great to maybe send out the book that we created, and then have people look at it and maybe add and modify. That'd be a great idea.
This is Aaron Rare from Peoria. I was interested in what each municipality is doing for glass in the recycling stream. If you are thinking about either adding it or removing it, and why. We're having discussions here about the pluses and minuses. And then the second thing that we're interested in is what each of you are doing with dead animal collection. It's becoming a sore spot for our leadership. So just curious as to what everyone in the Valley is doing.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Are there any more requests for agenda items? Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item. The next agenda item is comments from the committee. So agenda item number 8, comments from the committee. An opportunity will be provided for the committee members to present a brief summary of current events. The committee is not allowed to propose, discuss, deliberate, or take action at the meeting on any matter in the summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. So do we have any comments from the committee?
Hi, this is JB Shaw. I just wanted to first say how proud I am of Avondale and Mesa for all the work they've done, as well as all our grantees so far for the ADEQ recycling grant program. So thank you all. And then I also wanted to mention that ADEQ is hosting some public input meetings next week and the following week to help develop our statewide solid waste management plan. So I'd hope to see a lot of you there, either in person or virtually. So you can all check that more information out on that at azdeq.gov/SWIFR, which is SWIFR. So thank you so much.
Thank you, JB. Any other comments from the committee? Okay. The next meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Ramona, so moved.
We have a motion from Ramona and a second.
Second, Wendy Kreitz.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Wendy Kreitz.
Thank you. And a
Mhm.
second from Wendy Craigs. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thanks.